RMG's Trash Talk is brought to you by Scrubs 911, Somerset's medical uniform store. Learn more at scrubs911.com or like them on Facebook.
Two words I love to hear this time of year to get us through the wintertime blues. It's kind of a signal that winter is almost over. Spring training. The Pirates are in Bradenton. Everything's kicked off. Everything's rolling. So baseball is starting to hop on people's mind. And one of our local experts on baseball is here, Rick Roberts. Rick, thanks for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, let's talk a little bit about you before we get into the business a little bit. I love talking about local success, and clearly your local guy does good. I mean, you started off high school. You went to Forest Hills. Had a fantastic baseball career there. And then not only were you a great pitcher, but you did great behind the plate, or at the plate as well.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. It goes back to my family roots. I grew up on a farm in Forest Hills, Sidman, PA. So a lot of the hard work values were instilled in me at a young age, and I was lucky to have a dad that knew enough about baseball to really, teach me the right things growing up. So I was able to have a different kind of career. I grew up on playing with my cousins, and we played ball all day. So I can't really take all the credit, or my dad, because there was a lot of us around the same age, and we would battle on our farm. We'd play ball, bale hay, play ball, swim. That was what our days were, and it led to a very successful high school career. Not only pitching, I didn't really know how good I was until some scouts started coming around, and actually a Somerset guy, Bobby Mayer and Dede Osborne, they were together with the Indians, and they sort of, Dede was one of the ones at first said, "Hey, you're pretty good." I didn't know. I was just a farm boy from Sidman, and it led to a crazy thing out of high school where I ended up getting drafted and moved on to play pro ball. I played Triple ABA with Dede, and we had a lot of rivalry games here in Somerset. It was probably the biggest rival growing up was us versus Somerset. You had Stifler, you had Beggs, you had Kamalski, and Kamalski ended up getting drafted that year as well. So it was pretty crazy to see a small farm, go from a small farm town boy just playing in the backyard to, making it pretty decent in my career. And that's a tribute to just my roots and my family and who I grew up around. We
were discussing before we turned the cameras on about how people think football when they think Western Pennsylvania, but honestly, baseball, in my opinion, is just as crazy, if not more. I mean, we live a block from Somerset High School, and our field there, something going on all the time. And you brought one up that I think is unique. The Triple ABA, still going strong after all these years, and that's something that you got involved with while you were at Forest Hills or right around graduation. How did that help elevate your play to be with the elite? You talked about playing on the farm and doing a lot of practice, but now that's with you and your buddies, you and your family. Now you got to go up against the best of the best from the region. How did that help you move to the next level?
My junior year in high school, it's a good story. I really didn't pitch too well my junior year in high school. After that year, though, I played with Dede in the Triple ABA, and I was thrown with a bunch of 20-year-olds, and there was probably 10 Division I players on each roster, on our roster for sure, and I'm around men. I was just a small, skinny boy, and it really made me up my play, because I was going in from having a good hitting season, but I didn't have a very good pitching season my junior year in high school. I went in that summer and something just clicked. I think it was being around those older guys and just learning from them. I had guys that were in Division I colleges tell me about their routine. I was lucky to have a good coaching staff, and that sort of was the year that I really took off. I pitched really well that year. I was lucky enough to win 8 games. I won the Vukovic as a 17-year-old kid. And I learned a lot of that from my teammates that were older. I had a good arm. Like I said, I had a good work ethic. I had no idea how to pitch. In high school, you get away with throwing a lot by people. There I had to learn to pitch, because if you made a mistake against a college hitter, it was going. It was going off the screen, or at the point had the big screen at that time, and we played with a -5 bat. It was if you made a mistake, you were going to pay for it. It really made me the pitcher who I was to get drafted that following year. That summer was the biggest thing for me.
We deal with football a lot, and we work with, we help promote our local players to coaches, scouts, and recruiters from throughout the region. They get to see our players play on game tape in the fall. The scouting process with baseball, how different is that from football? I mean, they have professional people come out, and sometimes, as you said earlier, it's someone just saying, hey, you're pretty good. Explain how the scouting process worked with you. How did that all pan out?
The scouting process with me was crazy because back then you had open tryouts, like the Kansas City Royals would have them, the Atlanta Braves. We didn't have travel ball like we have now. So I would just go to some open tryouts. Next thing you know, the word got out there. And I was fortunate enough the fall of '96 to play for a guy named Chuck Ferris out of Virginia. It was first time travel ball was sort of evolutionizing. We played against college teams, and there was a guy on my team, Mike Ryan from Indiana, PA, who got drafted from the Twins the year before. We traveled together. He rode with me, and we would go play for this team, and we would play against college teams. There would be 20, 30, sometimes up to 50 scouts in the stands. So that's what sort of got me out there. I started with some open pro trials with the Royals and the Braves and different stuff, and it turned into some fall ball with an elite guy down in Virginia, and then it just exploded. Now that business is totally, it's a whole new market now. It's what you need to do to really get exposed.
Now you were drafted. How is the baseball draft different from the football draft? We always see the football draft where it's guys sitting home with their family around them watching TV, waiting. All of a sudden you see another shot of them with the cell phone crying and everybody, oh yeah, we made it. Baseball, different. You're not going to start, you may not start, probably not start for the pro league that fall or the next spring. You got a ways to work. But what was it like when you got the call? Were you sitting there with your mom and dad all around, you ready to cry?
It was pretty crazy when I got the call. I was actually playing. When I got drafted, I was playing in the quarterfinal state game up at State College. And it was after, and you had those big old cellular car phones. I don't even remember, they were huge.
Bag
you could
phone,
probably hit a ball with them. That's how big they were. But we got the call, we got the message on the way home that the Tigers had selected me. So the draft process for me happened, I didn't even know what was going on. I was playing a game. I found out after. It was probably better that way because it's very stressful. People think, I mean, it was calls after calls every night from scouts. What are you going to do if we draft you here? And I was just happy when it did happen, and I was happy to be playing because on the baseball field, when you're out there playing, there's no worries. You're not just thinking about the game, competing. So it's probably great that it happened like that for me.
Well, you spent 4 or 5 years in the minors. 4.
I spent 3 with the 2.5 with the Detroit Tigers and 5 with the almost 8 years between the Tigers and the Dodgers. Now, a year of that was rehabbing. I tore my shoulder at 22 years old. So a year and a half, 2 years of that was trying to rehab to come back into the game. And it was just, your shoulder's sort of like a motor in a car when it goes. Yeah. You know, I couldn't buy a new one. So
we're big fans of minor league baseball. What was your experience like? Because I've seen, you know, obviously people think Bull Durham and riding on an old stinky bus and having your food thrown up to the window to you and all that. And running around in different towns. And then also I saw a show on, I can't remember the network, where these guys were single A, Cactus League. No, they weren't even single A, they were developmental league. They were trying to get into minor league baseball. And it was almost like college, where there were like 6 guys living in a 2-bedroom apartment, you know, just scraping by, eating macaroni and cheese. And you're thinking, these guys be playing big league someday. And here they are eating ramen noodles like a college kid, you know? What was your experience like through minor league baseball?
It was
any fun stories like that?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both. I mean, you did. I mean, minor leaguers do not get paid anything. In fact, there's a lawsuit right now from ex-minor leaguers trying to. It was below minimum wage. I mean, you lived below the poverty line for as far as what you got paid. So you had to bunk with 4 or 5. I remember sleeping, you know, on the couch or in the living room on an air bed, and that was your room. There'd be 4 or 5 of you guys in there. But it was a unique experience because you would have the 10, 12, 14-hour bus drives, and we've had our heat go out before, and you got the Latinos, you got the different nationalities, and you put them all in a clubhouse with 25 guys. Over the course of a year, it gets pretty interesting, but I do know that there were some guys that lived in some sketchy places, and food-wise, you barely got by. But to cash in that lottery ticket if you made it to the big leagues was why you did it. That's why you did it. Made it worth it. It did make it worth it. And my experience from it, it taught me a lot of values, and it made me who I am today. And I learned from some of the best. 3 of my former coaches are major league pitching coaches right now, and they're all great guys, and they sort of molded me into how I teach.
In 2003, you finally made it to the bigs, made it to the Dodgers. Well, you played well in AA Jacksonville. When you were playing in Jacksonville and running up the stats that you ran, did you have a feeling? Did you know, like, okay, I'm going?
I did. And that year was the year the Dodgers had Gagne and all those guys. None of them got hurt. They were doing great. My minor league pitching coordinator would tell me every day, hey, this is June on. You're close. You're there. You know, it just never happened that year. But I went to that fall, and I went to the Arizona Fall League, and I did well, and I got put on the 40-man. But the problem was, the end of that AA season, the last playoff game, I hurt something in my shoulder. I didn't think it was anything major. It carried on through the fall league. I still pitched well with it, but then I came to spring training my first year on a major league roster, and my shoulder was pretty much shot. Yeah. And that's when I had the 2 shoulder surgeries. I think that's why I'm passionate about what I do now, because if I could go back and do some mechanical things different, learn about pitch count, about routine in between, what it takes to recover right, to make sure you're keeping your body, in the best shape that you can, I would probably still be playing. That's why I'm passionate about what I do, because I know I'm making a difference on kids' mechanics, educating the parents on how many is too many pitches, what's not enough, and that stuff. And I think that that part of my career was what led me to what I'm doing now.
Well, even at the short period of time you spent with the Dodgers, you had the opportunity to play at the major league level and be in a major league clubhouse, and also be coached by major league coaches. Names, I don't know if people recognize these names, I don't know, Sandy Koufax, yes, Alan Trammell, and of course, Tommy Lasorda. What did you take from each of those guys as far as their style, the knowledge that they passed on to you that you're able to apply to ERA and what you do now?
Yeah, Sandy Koufax, I threw a bullpen in front of him. He was more of a serious guy. He was great. I mean, he was very well known. You knew when Sandy was in and around, everybody just treated him. He was just a first-class guy. Tommy Lasorda was a clown. He was very funny. He used to tell us stories, very passionate about what he did. And Alan Trammell was a little bit of both. He was, serious, but he was a good guy, just a great guy. And he was an infielder guy, so really position guys sometimes didn't talk to pitchers, but he was a guy that interacted. I was a young player with the Tigers, and he would be a guy to come up and talk to all the young players, even if you're a pitcher, whatever. He didn't care what you were. He was just great. He would pass on the knowledge that he had. And all 3 of those guys were very professional and just great guys. They all brought a different aspect, a different attitude. And I've also been fortunate enough to work with guys like Rick Honeycutt, who's the Dodgers pitching coach, great guy. And then Dan Wharton with the New York Mets was one of my first pitching coaches at a young age. He's a very good guy. He came down and just took a low-A job when he didn't have to, just as a project. And I was lucky enough that I was with him, and he taught me a lot of things early on that helped me to get to that level to make a major league roster.
After your pro career was over, you came back, hopped right into coaching and managing. Richland, you coached them to a 19-2 record. Coached at UPJ for a while. Triple ABA, you hopped from player position to manager position. And in 2000, you started pro instruction. Why here? Why not in Florida? When we go to Florida on vacation, my God, you can't throw a stick and not hit a baseball field somewhere. Something going on, because they can do it all year round. It's beautiful
Yes.
down there. Same thing as in Arizona and California. Those are the areas where you think baseball in the winter. There, you think instruction, you're going to hop on a plane, you're going to go down. You came back here. Talk to me about
Yeah, this is where I'm from. This is where I was born and raised. I like to fish. I like to hunt. I love the people here. I like the challenge of getting these northern kids better to compete with these southern kids, and really the evolution of indoor facilities like Iron Horse, like we've been doing, and even the Division I colleges having better facilities. You see a change where there's some Division I schools that are from the north now making it to the World Series. My brother's a good example. He played at Kent State. Them and Stony Brook the same year went to the World Series. You wouldn't see that 10 years ago, right. 15 years ago. This is where I'm from. These are the people that I care about, the kids from all these school districts. Yeah, I know I'm a Forest Hills guy. I'm not biased towards them. I do love my school. But I take pride in kids from this area, from these counties, making it and helping them move on to the next level. That's what me and my partner are about. And he's actually a New York guy, and he's played for the Altoona Curve. That's how he got here. And he's very passionate. We're very passionate and very loyal to getting our kids to reach their maximum potential and see where we can get them.
This is Mike Holtz?
This is actually Mike Conley.
Mike Conley.
Mike
okay.
was involved with us, and he actually moved on to something else. Mike did a good job while he was in here, and he just moved on to other stuff. He does sometimes go in our Altoona building and does a lesson here too. But he's actually moved on. It's Mike Conley who's with me now.
We mentioned being able to play all year round down in Florida. Now here in the Laurel Highlands and right in Windboro, we have a phenomenal asset, the Iron Horse Sports Complex, which enables you to play and practice all year round. Describe what ERA offers. Let's talk about your business now. We talked about your career. Let's talk about your business. What do you guys offer there? What are the age groups? Tell me about ERA.
Yeah, we offer anything from ages 5 all the way up to in the 20s. You know, mainly 5 to 18 is our
So 45, I'm out. You can't
45. I mean, be honest with you, we had a guy last year, 40-some, do lessons. He was going to a fantasy camp down in Pittsburgh. So my brother did lessons with him. He's a great guy. He's
I
still
need a lot of lessons.
in contact with him, and he ended up going down there and getting a few hits. He was happy with the lessons, and so we have had older men, but mainly between 5 and 18. We offer pitching, hitting, fielding instruction. We have a lot of good guys. I'd be lying if I'd say me and Mike Conley are the main reasons why ERA and Flood City are success. I got a lot of ex-pro guys. I got some college All-Americans. I got some guys that are just great. They were great college people that are good with people, and they're actually from here, and we share in the same goal. They're all about, making all the kids better, as many as we can. And that's what the ERA and Flood City business is. And Iron Horse is totally different. It's an indoor facility, indoor field. The owner of that, Greg Tunstall, built one heck of a place. I was actually just in there this weekend. There probably was 2,000 people that went through there between the basketball tournament on one side where the court was, and my boy actually did both. He played basketball for a game, went and put his baseball stuff on, and he was playing in a 9 and 10-year-old league. It was fun to see these 9 and 10-year-old kids, mainly from our area. There was a team from Altoona, and there's 4 teams from the Johnstown area in this league. They were playing double headers. They were playing baseball. For me, it was awesome because it's spring training. I told my wife, I said, baseball's here. Basketball. I love basketball, but I was a wrestler in high school, so for me to watch basketball is pretty tough. But whenever my boy switched over and played baseball that day, it was awesome. Just to see all the kids, it was great. It was just to see them getting, this is stuff they couldn't do. Now they can play games. This is spring training for them. Instead of starting in April, we have games. They're softball, indoor softball too. They've played 4 or 5 games already.
Now, you mentioned the formation of leagues at Iron Horse, and some have said that the leagues that you're forming up there are eroding from the leagues that are already around, especially at the Little League level, where I get to coach my daughter and coach Mitch. It's a phenomenal experience, guys. If you have the chance to coach your kid, it's great. It's
no doubt, for sure.
But they've discussed the possibility or the problem where it's starting to erode from some of the teams, the more established leagues down here. What say you to that, and is there a chance or possibility that maybe you guys can all work together?
It is. I think the problem is you've seen a decrease in numbers for years in baseball. It's with soccer and different sports. It's sort of time to consolidate. I mean, you get what you have at Iron Horse, a lot of your more serious kids coming. You have your recreational kids who are just looking to have fun. Seems to be more serious kids coming for better competition, some better structure. And I think that's the problem with all these small towns. I played in Beaverdale when I was a kid. There's no more Beaverdale team. There wasn't since the early 2000s. It's changed. A lot of consolidation. This is just one big consolidation to me, to where different leagues, different kids are coming. And we still have kids that play in multiple leagues. We set a schedule that certain days, certain ages are playing. So if leagues are smart, like a lot of them are, they're just working around it and kids are doing both. But you got to be careful with that too, because too much can lead to injuries. Right. So it's tough because I'm a Forest Hills guy. My kids play at Iron Horse. We have a league at Adams Township, Forest Hills. I have nothing against them. I think they do a great job. This is more of a consolidation with 5 or 6 different counties and different areas, different schools from all over those counties coming together and joining one big, powerful league. And for me, you're only as good as your competition too. You play against good competition, you tend to rise up and get better. I'm a prime example. When I went that first summer at AAA, I was a big guy in high school. I got with a bunch of Division I college guys. You're just a number. And even in the real world, when you get out there, you're just a number. Who's going to work harder? And this teaches you to do that and to earn what you get. There's nothing given to you. There's a lot of politics in a lot of these small towns. Sometimes the best kid doesn't get that spot at the next level on the All-Star team. I've seen it. I've been part of leagues. I've seen systems.
I think anybody that's played baseball.
Anybody's seen it. Every sport.
That's true. Any sport.
Any sport. If you get a bunch of dads on a panel and you vote for my kid, this eliminates that. We have a lot of good baseball guys involved with what we do. Like I said, I'm not just me and Mike, my partner, aren't just 2 guys involved. We have 15, 20 great baseball guys there that are there fair with all their kids. I have 2 boys, but I'm not a dad when I coach. I'm a coach. Yeah. A lot of people can't separate the dad from the coach, and that's the problem with a lot of these areas. And some of them do a great job. I'm not saying all of them, but if you go, you hear the same horror stories. This sort of eliminating everything. It's the elite league, and it's very good. Not that a non-elite kid can't play, because we have a lot of kids that gotten better by playing with better kids, But that's what I look at Iron Horse as. It's one big consolidation in a lot of small areas that the numbers are going down, and just need to consolidate into one.
A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of meeting John Wayner, Pirate broadcaster. former big leaguer, former Pirate. And it was funny because, as I said, I had the privilege of coaching my daughter and just coach pitch.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun. Coach pitch is the best because it's really, you're non-competitive, so it's not crazy.
And we didn't even keep score.
Yes, that's what's nice.
Daddy, did we win? You bet.
Yes, yes.
But he said 3 things because he said his boys were playing ball and he hated going to the games. He had to sit far away because he didn't want to hear what the coaches had to say because he says he knew they were volunteers, but they didn't know what they were talking about. And he said 3 things that he hated them hear, or he hated to hear, were 3 things that we always preached. And I want to hear from you. 1, get your elbow up.
It's a myth.
It's a myth?
It's a myth, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, if any of the girls are watching, tune out now.
That's been a myth since back when I was an age. Trust me, the back elbow.
It doesn't help get the bat around faster because these girls will stand there like this. And
you want to stay relaxed.
You know?
I'm not saying you can't have it up a little bit, but you want to stay relaxed. The higher it is up, the longer it has to go to get to that point of contact.
Okay, all right. Step into the swing.
No, you don't step into the swing. Your feet are always the same. You want to stay square. You don't step. Some people, the myth used to be, if it's outside, step in towards home plate. If it's inside, step out. No, you keep your feet square. Your hands and the point of contact is what changes that. Step into the swing is definitely, you want to stride forward, make sure your feet are lined up, but to step in, that's a myth too.
Last one, and I got to tell you, I'm guilty of all 3 of these things, but I've seen them work, but whatever. Swing level. Get that level swing.
Swing level. It's not a level swing. Level swing is a long swing. It's more of a downward swing. It's got to be short. It's got to be quick. Yeah, those are all 3 myths that, trust me, growing up, I heard the same things. And when you get the pro ball and you hear the guys preach, I mean, some guys, the problem I have, some guys are trying to reinvent and make their own stuff up hitting. The hitting that I know that was taught from 97 to 2004, my brother just left pro ball. It was the same stuff taught. It's the same, try to backspin the ball, stay short to it. It's all the same stuff, and I know, I'm sure John Wayner was the same way. He was telling you the same stuff.
Right.
But those 3 are definitely missed.
Well, anyone from Team DQ from last year, forget everything I said. Just get out there and have a lot of fun. And check out let's pimp the website, pimp the business, ERA Sports. Tell us, how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can go on erasportsinc.com. You'll find a number to each one of our facilities. You'll find registrations online, and then also ironhorsebaseball.com. You can see what's going on there with the leagues. We have travel tournaments, which is a great side. We're bringing a lot of business into Johnstown through travel tournaments. Those 2 websites will give you the info you need to contact one of us and get your kids involved.
Well, Rick, we appreciate you taking the time to come down. Rick Roberts has been our guest. And whatever you do, don't swing level, just swing away. Rick, thanks for coming down.
Thank you very much.